Good evening, everybody. It was a hot one today. I don't know how it was for all of you guys, but mowing the yard, it was definitely hot. I see Miss Robyn has joined. I'll give her a minute in case she tries to request to join. If not, I can send her a request so she can join us. Oh. Give me a minute here, guys. I'm trying to get... There we go. We're going to add... Hi, Savannah. Hello, Lady J. All right, waiting on Instagram to cooperate with me. I did send one for. It says it won't. It says my request won't send. Well, I got your request, and I sent it for approval. So I'll try it again here. Yeah, it says you're invited. And if we have to back out and try it again, we'll try it again. All right, I am going to give me a minute. I'm going to invite her again. All right, Robyn, I sent you a request this time. Hi there.
Yay, it happened. We did it. Oh, technology.
It's great when it works.
Well, here's my dilemma. I thought I could do it this way, but then I'm going to be sideways to everybody. So I don't have anything to hold my phone this way, which sounds just silly. But let me see what I can do here.
Yeah, it works some magic.
What's that?
Works some magic.
I'm trying. Okay. I'm also doing this interview from my lovely bathroom. I'm in my shower, guys. It is 104 degrees in Canada right now.
Gosh.
All the igloos have melted. But no, seriously, it's 104. We're breaking all records, and our houses and apartments are not built with AC because we have never needed AC. This is true climate change, global warming. So I was going to do this interview outside at this beautiful back garden of one of my acting clients, Sophia. Hi, shout out. But I can't because there's no AC, and it would have been 104. Now I'm probably sitting in about I don't know, 89, 90, and I figure if it gets too hot, I could just turn the shower on.
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
yeah. So I apologize. There's just nowhere that's cooler than my bathroom.
And Robyn and I had been discussing before we had this. I spoke with her last Friday. She was trying to find a way to do this from her computer because she's using an old iPhone 6.
Yes, an iPhone
So,
6.
so the quality isn't as good, but we can still hear, we can still see her. So thank you so much. I appreciate it.
I apologize. The only other thing that I could be concerned about is this battery life, but bear with me. If for some reason the battery goes, I will be right back. I will just find a way.
That's all right. Well, if we lose you, we'll wait for you.
Okay.
All right.
But we're
So
in.
we're,
Yay.
we're Team iPhone.
Team iPhone. Anyone have a team iPhone 6? There's a
Still.
reason I only buy used phones. I don't buy new ones. Political reasons. So sometimes it stands to kind of be a good obstacle for me, but at the end of the day, I feel better about myself. So.
Well, Going along with that, before we go into questions, because you've seen where I've asked followers for their questions throughout the week, I
Yes.
did have one of our followers, or one of my, well, it's ours because he's one of yours too, wanted to say thank you for all of your activist work.
Oh, that's so
So,
kind. That means so much to me. I've been like this since I came out of the womb. So it also has stood in, against me at times, but I don't care. When I believe in good people, golden hearts. I believe in the right thing, doing the right thing, and always fighting for the underdog. And that underdog sometimes was me and will be, I'm sure, in the future. But yeah, it's really important to me to stand up for things that are important and for people that might not have a voice, and to be an ally. Hugely important to me. Oh, and that being said, happy Pride, everybody. That we're
yeah.
celebrating it. Yay.
Well, and also in honor of it being so hot outside, I'm wearing my Nickelodeon Christmas shirt.
Perfect. Yes,
Christmas in
we're in
June.
front of a fire right now. So there. Fire.
All right.
Whew.
So,
Nice to
as
see you in person.
it is nice to see you in person. And again, thank you so much for being a part of this. It means a lot to me. So thank
It's
you.
a lot to me too. I was really excited. I was telling you, Alex, before, but I'll tell everybody. I got on the phone with Alex when he first reached out to me. I think we were on the phone for definitely over an hour, right?
Yes.
Yes. Just because it felt like talking to an old friend. I love his love for all things Nickelodeon. It brought back so many great memories. And yeah, I'm super excited about today. So
I was ecstatic about it. When she had opened up and was like, "Hey, let's chat on the phone," I about hit the floor. Uh, when my emotions get too high, whether in anger or in excitement, I can't control my hands from shaking, and I was still at work. So I came out of my office into the lady at the front desk, and she didn't know I was asking any of this. And then my hand was shaking. I was so excited. It was like, she said yes. And
well,
she talked to me. So that was cool. That was cool.
that's now
This
you
is
know
cool.
how I feel before I go into an audition. Except I'm not excited, happy. I'm just nervous.
Nervous.
Very
Well,
nervous.
let's get into some questions. So usually the one that people like to start with is, what do you remember from the auditions of doing 15?
Ooh, okay. Well, then I wasn't nervous. For some reason, when I was young, I was just so excited to do them. Every time I got a call from my agent, I was excited. Now I'm like, oh. But yeah. Well, this one in particular, my agency was taken over by another agency that had just bought them out, and for some reason, they didn't think I was qualified enough to go to this audition. They didn't think I had enough experience or I was good enough or whatever. So this the producers and the writers of 15 were holding and the creator was holding huge open auditions, which 2,000 kids showed up to. And I thought, well, I'm not given an appointment from the agency, so I'm just going to go to this open casting. And it was 2 full days of casting, and you'd basically stand in a line and they would say, all right, say this line, say this line. And they're like, you can go home, you go to the next round. It was like that harsh and cut and dry. It was just like, that's how it works. So I made it to the final next day. This will be an interesting tidbit of information. I was actually slated along the whole process to be Ashley. And then when we got to the final kind of auditions, and we were doing chemistry reads with the other cast members that have whittled their way down to the very end, they were asking Laura Harris, who played Ashley, to try and do it again. Be bitchier, be bitchier, be bitchier. And then they were like, okay, this isn't working. Robyn, can you come up here and try Brooke? And Laura, you try Ashley. And I was
Oh
just like,
no.
oh my God, this is gonna be so much fun. So I just went full throttle bitch, and the rest is history.
I love it.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, it was
man.
fun. So out of 2,000 kids, whatever, 8 of us were chosen, and that's how it happened. And I think of those, only a few were from agencies and the rest were from the big open cattle call. And one was, which I told you when we talked, was Ryan Reynolds, because he didn't even want to audition. He came with his friends because his friends wanted to audition, and he was in line, and they said, okay, say the line. And he said, no, I'm not auditioning. I'm just with my friends. And they said, say the line. And so he said the line, and then he went to the next round. And then he's like, no, I'm just with my friends. And they're like, okay, that's great, but you're going to do this. And so he kept doing it, and then he got it. He didn't even want to be an actor. He wanted to be a football player. Yeah.
And because for those who don't know, there's a series of interviews on YouTube that both Robyn and Todd and a couple of the directors had also, or the director and the writer had done, and I believe the director had even spoken of the exact same story. So it's definitely confirmed. So
Yeah.
Go check those out. They're on YouTube, floating around somewhere.
Well, I keep remembering asking Ryan, so are you going to act now? So are you going to act now? And he's like, I don't know. And then he just kept getting job after job after job. So I guess he just kind of went, well, I guess I'll, do this instead of be a famous football player. So.
And history was made.
History was made.
And
he can play a football player now.
Yes, he can.
Yeah.
And we just had somebody comment a question, since it was filmed in hockey, why wasn't it, or not hockey, since it was filmed in hockey, since it was filmed in Canada, why was it in hockey instead of football?
That's a great Freudian slip. I guess that's not Freudian, but it's a great slip. Well, okay. Well, the dollar exchange. So they wanted to sell the show to Nickelodeon. Nickelodeon wouldn't have put out the money at this time. The exchange was so huge that they knew if they came up and filmed in Canada, they would get so much more for their money. So they did. So first season we filmed in Vancouver, and we have like Hollywood North. We have quite a good film industry. Not as much then, but we definitely had studio space. We had, crews. We could do it up here. And then the second season, we took it to Ottawa, which doesn't have a huge film community, but we took over the studios that filmed You Can't Do That on Television. I think that was on Nickelodeon for a while, but it was a Canadian show because Alanis was on it, Morizette.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when they got all the slime and everything. So we filmed it there the second season, and then third, fourth, fifth to the end, but I only did one more after this. We filmed at Universal Studios in Florida.
Nice.
And I guess they wanted to get closer to home and add in some American cast members that didn't say a boot or oot.
Yeah, a boot.
So, yeah.
And I was just correct because we got talking about football. I had football in the brain. It wasn't football. It was basketball on the show 15. But it was stuck in my head.
Basketball. Yeah.
Yes. Hang on just a second. I just got a message, so give me a sec here. Okay. Moving on. What was it like filming in Nickelodeon Studios?
Oh, it was awesome. First of all, for me, the coolest part wasn't even the show. The coolest part was we were given free-for-all passes any day of the week, any time to go to Universal Studios. So we would just walk, go on rides, just see all the tourists. But then we became friends with all the live performers at Universal Studios. So we kind of felt like, we were in with the crowd. And, that was my favorite part, that we could just go to the theme park every single day whenever we were done work. That was the best. It was also meeting other cast members that were working on other shows. Our schedule was pretty heavy because we filmed an episode a day. We would rehearse ahead of time and we would block ahead of time. It's kind of like sitcom-ish. You would learn all your lines ahead of time, then block it and rehearse it, and then we would shoot a show a day. So we didn't have lots of time to meet other people while we were filming, but we met some. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And how close was the group that you performed with? Were you guys still talk? Do you still hang out?
Oh, okay. Well, back then we were super close. I lied about my age. The thing is, they didn't want another 90210. They wanted an actual show with the actual ages. And I wanted an actual acting job. So I lied. and I was 18 and I was supposed to be 15. And back then, people just didn't check stuff the way they can now as easily or
Yeah.
whatever. So they just bought it. I looked it. It was fine. I was small. And then that's what you pointed out to me was in that book that a few years later, they were like, they knew my age by this time because I lived on my own. I was the only cast member that lived on their own outside of the show. But, you know, I took the younger ones that were 13 at the time under my wings. I just loved them. I know they looked up to me like a big sister or, you know, the older girl crush. And then there was the 15-year-olds. And I used to be the taxi. So when we were in Vancouver, I was the one with the license. So I would drive everybody to and from the studio. But yeah, no, we were really, really close. And then just life happens. I moved to New York. I stayed really close with Arsaman. And she came to visit me in New York. Anuka, except Anuka's lived everywhere. Anuka played Vanessa in the first season. And also just recently, I'm super in touch with Janine Cox, who played Teresa, my little sister in the first season. And then Todd Talbot I see because he is an amazing theater actor, singer, musical theater actor. So I always go to see his shows. And we just keep in touch here and there. And he also has a show on HGTV, I think, called Love It or List It. So he's busy. But yeah, I kept in touch really close. I think Ryan and I and Chris Martin, who played Dylan, kept in close contact in the beginning the longest. Ryan and I the most because we were living in LA at the same time. And, you know, he used to always hang out at my place. And it was funny because a roommate of mine and another close friend of mine's name was Rich Riccolo. And one Valentine's Day, Ryan's girlfriend was in France, whoever he was dating at the time. So he was alone. I wasn't dating anyone. And my friend Rich just found out his girlfriend cheated on him a couple days earlier. So,
oh, no.
Yeah, so I was like, all right, well, I'm hosting the Lonely Hearts Valentine's Day. Actually, someone had written this on my trivia on my IMDb. I don't know how it got there or someone found out. But anyways, I introduced Rich and Ryan together, and then they ended up starring on Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. 3 months later, they had this audition. They went, they got to the end, and they ended up being on a show together for years.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't. You didn't tell me that one. I mean, a lot of these stories we shared while we were talking on the phone, but this one is all new
really
to me.
Serendipitous how they had met at my place and then end up playing roommate best friends in this show, Two Guys, a Girl, and a Pizza Place. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
We just had 2 questions that were posted. One question was, did any of the actors actually play the musical instruments on the show?
Yes, Chris did. Chris was a guitarist. He went by Corky back then, but then his name is Chris. Now he goes by his legal name, but Dylan. So he did play the instrument. I don't know if Ryan played the drums. I know if I were to guess, I'd say no. Wasn't it a little apparent? But I don't. Maybe the guy that played Chris on the show. The guy that wore the leather jacket?
Yes.
His name was Chris on the show, right?
No, I forgot what his name was. He was the one with the long hair who played with.
Yeah.
Chris.
Yeah, it's terrible.
I don't remember his name. I just watched the whole series not that long ago.
I'm also in touch with Roxanne still.
Really?
My nemesis on the show. Yeah, she's
yes.
a doll. Yeah, she's lovely.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And the other question that was posted was, let me scroll down so I can see it, because we're getting a lot of people joining in. Hi, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming. Welcome to my bathroom. This is my shower curtain. Just to recap, it's 104 degrees right now in Vancouver, and the coolest place I could possibly be with no AC is in my bathroom. So.
The other question is, were you recognized by fans?
Yes, at the time. And still now. It's funny because it played in other countries after the fact. So sometimes when I would travel, I would have random people coming up to me going, I know you in all languages. I'm like, I don't know you. And then we'd figure out it was from 15, so it was dubbed in many languages. Like many languages, including Hebrew. So I speak Hebrew apparently. And yeah, it was in Israel. Like it was everywhere. So there's that whole fandom too. But there's a couple funny facts with that. So I don't know if any of you guys are hockey fans. I don't really watch, but Peter Nedved was a pretty well-known hockey player, and he played for the Canucks, and then he played for the Rangers. But he learned English because he was from Eastern Europe, and he learned English from watching 15. So one night we happened to be at the same bar when we were in our 20s, and he had the DJ come over and ask me if I was Brooke on 15. So,
oh,
and
really?
I didn't know who he was. I could care less about hockey. But anyways, yeah, so he was so excited because he's like, I learned English from your show. So that was one cool thing. Another thing that happened, so at the park when we were at Nickelodeon Studios and we were in the theme park, people would obviously, because they knew we were filming there, and by then we were in 3rd season. So they knew us there, but I had a very humbling moment at some point where somebody came up to me and said, oh my God, I can't believe I'm meeting you. Can I have your autograph? And I was like, sure, can I have yours? Because I had a bag of everybody's autograph that I got. When they got mine, I got theirs. So it was an exchange. And then they got mine, and then they're like, what does this say? And I said, Robyn Ross. And they're like, Robyn Ross? I thought you were Debbie Gibson.
Oh no.
Oh my God, I was crying.
Just
I laughed
shot
so hard.
right
All
now.
the cast members were like laughing so hard.
So another question we had is, did you like being a cheerleader with Stacy?
Well, yes, actually, I think I might have suggested that. I think we had a lot of input with the writers, and I might have suggested that because I did cheerlead at high school and I liked it. And I wasn't one of the better ones, so at least on the show I could be.
Nice. I had dropped my note.
In real life, you just gotta fake it on TV.
Ah, yeah, you can do that. That's what actors are for.
Exactly. And
we are actually, I'm a little sad. So if you're watching, because I'm aiming at one person in particular, because you and I were in cahoots because we were planning to have a special guest.
Yes.
And I keep getting messages from special guest, and he can't quite get it figured out. It's giving him some difficulties. So if we can't get him, and I can't invite him because he's not showing up, but if he shows up, we'll add him. If not, it's okay. Thank you for trying, but hopefully we can get you in. But it was going to be Chris.
Log out and log in. We had a surprise plan for all you guys. One of my friends and I made another show. Well, you just gave it away, Christopher. One of my friends from another show that was filming there at the same time, and we used to hang out a lot back in the day, and then we reconnected. I think it was a fan that reconnected us. So it's so cool to be reconnected again. If you give me a question, I can just talk my butt off, and then you can figure out the technical if you want.
Well, I would, but he just, every time I go to invite to join, hey, look, there he is right there. So let me send him an invite and see if he can join us. So
that's what happens with us old people. We don't know how to do technology. That's the problem.
There we go.
Wow.
Get out!
Wow.
Hi.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I know my lighting sucks. I'm sorry. I'm about to fix it. And hold on, please.
For those who don't know, this is Chris from Welcome Freshmen.
Hello. How are you? Hello.
That's right.
I'm so sorry my lighting's there. I'm about to go inside the house in a second. Oh, hold on a second.
Oh, you're fine. We got some high school crossover.
Much better.
Much better. Okay, hey. How you guys doing? Okay, hey, how are you? It's
welcome, Chris.
Oh my gosh. Wow, I haven't. Oh, wow.
Guys, this is the first time Chris and I are seeing each other in person since we did. I don't even want to say how many years ago.
It was a lot of years. It was a lot of years.
Well, Chris, where are you at?
You're a little more gray.
Yeah, I do. I have a little bit more gray. I do. I don't know how that happened. I guess like I woke up one day and it was just there. It just came in on its own. I guess. You look amazing, Robyn. You look amazing.
Means you're
You look
mature.
amazing. Oh, is that what it is? It means I'm mature. Okay, excellent.
So
Wow.
are
Well, thank you
you.
so much
So are
for thank you so
you.
much for having me
Aw.
here. This is awesome. I was really looking forward to this tonight. I wish I was a little bit more prepared, but I was running around today and like behind
Oh
schedule and
no.
whatnot. So, but thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
We're glad you're here.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, and because we're doing three at the same time, some of this is going to get a little laggy, so we'll be a little
Okay.
patient. But Chris, where are you right now? Because we know that
Oh.
Brooke, we know that Robyn is in Vancouver. Where are you at?
I am currently in Atlanta. I've been here for a couple years. I spend about half my year here and about half in Los Angeles. Yeah. So right now I'm here. I'll be here until about maybe July, end of July, and then I'm out to LA again. We've got some work out there to do, so
Awesome.
looking forward to that.
All right. Robyn, you're still there. Okay. You're froze for a minute, but you're still there. Cool. All right. Well, Robyn told us a bit about how she remembers auditions. How was auditions for you for Welcome Freshmen?
Oh wow! I was just saying hi to everybody. Sorry. Auditions for Welcome Freshmen. Wow, they were pretty intense. If I remember correctly, there were about I think 1,500 other kids, maybe, auditioned for Kevin. I know we had there was a cast that did the pilot show that was completely different from our cast. And funny enough, I never got to meet any of them. I hear they're all pretty cool. But yeah, the auditions were fairly intense. Like I just moved down to Florida. I remember that. I just come down from New York. And I think I've been in Florida maybe, I don't know, maybe a little over a year when those auditions came around. And, I just got really, really fortunate to be able to be a part of that. It was very cool. It was very, very cool.
Awesome.
Yeah.
And did either of you keep anything from your sets?
Yes. Do you want? Okay, just talk amongst yourselves.
Go ahead. You go ahead.
I'm gonna go pull it out of my closet. I'm gonna go pull it out of, and
You
it's
have
back
it.
in style, so I wear it again.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
While she's going to get that, did you get to keep anything?
I did. I guess the statute of limitations has probably run out on what you can take from the studio.
Really?
I did happen to nab a couple choice pieces of clothing at the time. I didn't manage to keep any of them, which is sad. I did get a couple toys and a couple of set pieces or whatever, but you lose things over the years. So,
Yeah.
and I've been really bad. I've been really bad at like keeping track of that stuff. But I have like a few little things like wrap tapes and like a couple wrap shirts and stuff. Oh my God, look at that. She has it. Oh wow.
I think you and I went clubbing. I think you and I went clubbing when I was wearing this.
I think we did. As a matter of fact, I think we went to the Breakfast Club. I think that's where we went.
And I actually kept that dress that I used to like seduce Dylan. I kept that flower dress. And we were given one year by Nickelodeon these cool big wall clocks that were Ren and Stimpy, and all the different cartoon characters were each.
Oh yeah, we got those clocks too. Clocks too. Oh gosh.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
So that's it.
So
but
awesome.
Hey, this is like right back in. How many years? Took 30 years, but yay. So.
And you know what? And it looks as good on you now as it did the first time you pulled it out. Did Robyn tell you at all about any context about when they came down? Oh my God, she's my number one crush. But did she give you at all any context about when she when her and 15 came down to shoot? Because they came down to Florida to shoot with us for 1 year for a promotional, or like not shoot with us, but shoot down at the Florida studios. And I guess
it was around season 3, I think.
Our season or theirs? Theirs, yeah, I think so. Was it your season 3, Robyn?
We went down season 3.
Okay, all right. We got we didn't really know this officially until a little bit later on, but evidently our cast had a bit of a reputation along the studios. We were kind of misbehaviors or whatever. So I hear. And we got a memo from our higher ups that when they told us that 15 was coming down, they said that we were specifically not allowed to talk to them. Do not talk to the kids from 15. Don't hang out with them. Don't don't if you see them in the hallway, keep going. You know what I'm saying? Like don't chill or whatever. Don't get to know them. Don't talk to them at all. And I remember saying to myself, I was like, "Oh, Brooke from 15 is coming. Word." I was like, you think I'm not gonna? You think I'm not? Okay, that's pretty funny. So they got down here, and I remember talking to Dave and Rick, and I was like, we should see if they want to go out. We should just see, what. So it was like immediate. I think the first day we saw, we were like, hey, how you guys doing? What's going on? Welcome to Orlando. So we got to go out, man. We got to go out. We took them around Orlando for a little while. We took them, where we go? We breakfast. I think we went to a concert. I think we went to Magic Mike, right?
Yeah, you tell a whole bunch of kids they can't do something. What do you think they want to do?
Mm-hmm.
Immediately, yeah. But it was good, man. It was good. We got to hang out at the studios for Halloween and stuff, so it was nice.
And you came to visit New York. Don't you remember?
I did. I did remember that. I came to visit Robyn in New York. We went to, Christ, where did we go? Did we go to Blue Nile? Is that where we went?
I Crickets.
I don't remember. We went. But I remember coming up to see you, and I was so excited to come see you. We went to FAO Schwartz. That's right. And we saw the piano guys. The piano guys from Big. Yeah. Okay.
And
I can't believe this.
And Arsaman was with us.
Arsaman was with us. Yeah. How is she? Do you talk to her at all?
She's lived all over the world. Yes. Sorry. Side conversation. She lived in New York. She had an Ethiopian restaurant that she opened there that was super successful in Brooklyn. And then she moved to Vietnam. Then she moved to Mexico. I'm not sure exactly where she is now. Like if we'll chat, we just chat on the phone, so I don't geographically know where she is. But she's lived quite.
Arsaman's like my hero.
Yeah, she's crazy.
She's like my hero. Like she's gone everywhere. She's done everything. She's so cool. I'm so envious.
Yeah, she is really cool.
We did have someone just ask Robyn if you wore that jacket out in public still.
Oh, yeah, I just started because I kind of saw that they were coming back, and I'm like, oh, this is my chance to be cool. And it's funny because it's all the 20-year-olds that are like, oh my God, your jacket's so fly. Where'd you get it? I'm sure they don't know. It's the equivalent of whatever it is today. And I'm just like, it's actually vintage because I can say it's vintage, and which it makes me look even cooler because they think I found it somewhere. I just didn't tell them I just hung on to it that long. But, it is funny because my daughter will raid my closet and just go through it and find all the treasures that I've kept. So,
That's awesome.
Well, not for this jacket, but because it was on the show. But for a lot of my things, I paid good money at the time when I was young, and I was, if I spent, good money on something, I kept it. So makes sense, right?
You're so much better at that than I am. Like I was completely and utterly irresponsible. I don't know if anybody remembers, but I had my wardrobe for the show was pretty. It was pretty left of Parker Lewis kind of thing. I don't know if anybody remembers Parker Lewis at all. But and I did get to keep some of those shirts, but I was just really bad. I was a terrible steward of my ill-gotten gains from the show. Because I did boost a lot of their clothing and stuff like that. But you know what I did get to keep for a little while? I had this pair of black patent leather shoes that had those really awful steel tips. I think it was like a Gorgon head. It was, they were the shoes from the Rico Suave video or something. It was terrific. It was terrific. Awesome. But I kept them. I did.
That's awesome.
I did.
Well, I do know, because Robyn had told me a little bit of this before, but I would imagine, given that it's Nickelodeon and one was a soap opera and one was a over-the-top sketch comedy show, how often were the two of you told to be over the top?
Oh, it's actually told over the top. Okay.
Oh, yeah.
Well, we got, I don't know about Robyn, but I would imagine Robyn probably heard it a lot less often than we did. We were, depending on season of the show you're watching. I think the first two seasons of our show were a lot more sketchy and a lot more, uh, I guess, over the top, if you will, than the third and fourth seasons, where we kind of fell back towards a more sitcom kind of oriented sort of format. But we got to do that kind of stuff all the time. Like we really got to just, show out and just act a fool all the time. But 15 was kind of, I can't imagine you guys were told over the top, or like you guys had such twisty over the top storylines to begin with,
Yeah. What's crazy is my penchant for overacting is probably what got me the job. But then while I was on hiatus, I would go take acting classes because now I'm like, oh, this is a thing. I can actually make a living. I need to get really super serious. So I went to acting school and I was like horrified at how I was acting in the show. I realized it's a soap opera. But then I come back third season and I'm trying to do it really like realistically, like TV. And rather than do this, like look into the camera and the smirk and be like, I'll get her. I was just like,
that was Brooke right there.
I would say something like, I'll get her. Who does she think she is? Like just super real. And then the director would be, cut. Why don't you have energy? Put energy into it. Put energy. And I was like, oh, energy equals bad acting. Oh, okay. So then I just did the worst smirks and the and then I just like
the smoldering Brooke.
Yeah, but I think that's part of it. What made it so campy and so much fun. It was like a TV novella or whatever, like those Spanish soap operas. It was like so over the top, but
it really was. I loved it though. I loved it.
And through the conversation I got to have with, I keep almost saying Brooke every time. Through the conversation I got to have with Robyn last Friday, she threw a little nugget at me that I just about hit the ceiling with. So,
what?
For anybody who doesn't who remembers, Nickelodeon used to do a sweepstakes called Nick Takes Over Your School, in which Nickelodeon would do exactly that. And I know Robyn got to be a part of that. Chris, did you get to be a part of that at all?
I don't think we ever did any of the Nick Takes Over Your Schools. I remember I remember when they were running them, but I don't recall that our show was ever a part of them.
Okay.
I think the biggest thing I remember our show being a part of was probably Stay in School Jam, like NBA Stay in School Jam.
Yes.
I think that was probably the highest profile thing that I remember doing. If we did do Nick Takes Over Your School, then I likely wasn't a part of it, because sometimes they did that. Sometimes they would split us up, and not everybody would go to, the same, whatever, the same appearance or whatnot,
Robyn, what do you remember?
You guys got to do that, like.
Yeah, we got to do one. It was great. Who was it? It was Ryan and I and Laura Harris, who played Ashley, us three, and I think Chris, who played Dylan. So the four of us, we joined up the cast, or at least Melissa Joan Hart of Clarissa, and Hulk Hogan.
Wow, Melissa.
Hulk Hogan. And
Hulk Hogan.
The band Mint Condition, big 90s.
Pretty brown eyes. I remember making.
Yeah, there you go. Like, look at I have brown eyes. Yeah. So
you do. You do.
We went to school in Portland, Oregon, and it was my first time in Portland. And I think that's where little celebrity gossip. That's where Ryan and Melissa met, and then they had a little romance for a while.
Really, Ryan and Melissa? Really?
Yeah, they did. Yeah, they did.
That's pretty interesting. Okay.
It was for a while.
I was not aware of that.
Visit her in New York City. That's why I would see him when I was in New York. And they had
Okay.
It was fun.
All right. Okay, excellent. I did not that I would have been aware of that or whatever. That's for you. You know what? I feel like, and you would probably know about this better than I would. Either you would, Robyn, or Rick Galloway, who played Walter on our show. We evidently, I guess, and this is one of the things, because we had a lot of fuzzy weekends, but there was evidently one of these fuzzy weekends in question.
That's why they didn't want our cast meeting there. Exactly why.
I'm not sure that's entirely true. I mean, they didn't say that for sure, But I feel like Ryan and Rick almost got fired on the same day because I think we went out, and if I'm not mistaken, Ryan did not come back to set in time to go to work. Um, if I'm not, and if I'm also I swear, I wish I could just call Rick Alloway now because he could completely tell you what happened. But I remember, if I vaguely remember Rick calling me later on that day and being like rather upset with because I had left, I guess, so I wasn't really included. I should have been at the Get Spanked meeting with the president of Nickelodeon, I guess, who was doing the spanking that day. And I guess I understand Rick and both Ryan that day got a fairly strong talking to about professionalism.
That would not have been,
My
that
God.
would not have been looked, yeah, proudly upon at all.
Gosh.
Yeah, that's always I always think about that now. Though every time I see Ryan, I always think about that. Like if I ever see him again, like every time I see him on TV, I always think if I ever see you again, dude, I'm gonna have to ask you about that. Be like, you almost got me fired, you little shit. Like,
Maybe his wife created his own gin because he still
yeah,
can't drink normal gin after that night.
I can only imagine. I didn't think he would be. He would have been a strong gin drinker at that age, but you know.
Yeah,
We
by
just, we
that
just
point
had
he would have been. Oh, he would have been underage. Yep.
Yeah, he would have been a little bit underage. A little bit. Yeah.
we just had somebody comment. Who would have thought the cast of 15 and Welcome Freshmen being rebels?
It's pretty funny, man. It is. It's pretty funny.
So after Nickelodeon, both of you had moved on to other properties. How was doing things outside of Nickelodeon compared to being in Nickelodeon?
Ooh, that's a loaded question.
It is.
We were very controlled. I don't want to say in a bad way by Nickelodeon, but there was a lot of rules, a lot of everything. And when you get out there in the real world, there's no longer those rules. So you kind of look back and you're like, whoa, I had no idea I was under such, tight boundaries. So I kind of liked it. I saw it was a new adventure to play different roles, to actually work my acting muscle and not be over dramatic and see if I could become really realistic. And it turns out that, years later, my wheelhouse became a lot of indie films where I played, really characters that went through really traumatic issues in their life. And yeah, I kind of went as far from that kind of 3-camera setup world as possible. But I don't know, Chris, what about you?
It's
You went
weird.
into the producing world.
But they much later, much like years later, there was a good, I don't know, maybe 25-year span of not producing anything. like 25-year span of just sort of, I guess life sort of taking you directions or whatnot. It's weird when I was doing Nickelodeon, I booked Welcome Freshman, and then I think maybe a month after that, I booked In the Heat of the Night, and it was a recurring role, but it was supposed to be a one-shot role. And Carol O'Connor changed the script at the end of the show and didn't tell any of us. So when we sat down to watch the show with my family, like every girl talking about, hey, great show, whatever, my mother and I were sitting there looking at each other because, we knew what the end of the script was and we knew that wasn't it. So we ended up calling us back. But I did that like in complete violation of my contract. So I was expecting during that entire 4-year run of Nickelodeon, I was expecting at any moment going to work to be like, hey, we found out that you're also working in the heat of the night, so you're fired, buddy. I don't want you to go ahead, but that never happened. But it did give me the opportunity to play a vastly different role than Kevin on Welcome Freshman. I mean, the kid I played on In the Heat of the Night was, from a broken home, just from the worst possible circumstance, and then experiencing, an even extension of that worst possible circumstance. So it was a completely different kind of material. So I was happy to not necessarily happy to get out of Nickelodeon, but I was happy to be able to, I guess, the same that Robyn said, sort of spread out and kind of see what other kind of stuff I can do, or if there was other stuff I could do,
Yeah.
Yeah.
see where I'm gonna fall flat on my face, and I found a couple places where I'm good at falling flat on my face. And then along the way you find some stuff you can be good at too.
Well, Chris, we just had a question for you. One of
Okay.
our followers was wanting to know what it was like working with Carol O'Connor.
He was amazing. He was absolutely amazing. Uh, he's, I knew him when I met him. I knew him as mostly as Archie Bunker, because I met him when I was 13, 14 years old, something like that. So I knew him as Archie Bunker. But it was only after getting to work with him that I sort of did, I guess, the equivalent of a deep dive back then, because, there was no real internet. So you kind of had to use actual books. But, I go back and just sort of look at this man's his filmography, look at his catalog, and he was a legend. He was an absolute legend, and he was probably one of the nicest people I've ever met. And he had kind of a dirty sense of humor. So he was a pleasure to work with, man. They all were. Carol, Howard Rollins, Hugh, Carol's son, Anne Marie Johnson. They were all incredible to work with. They really were, and I learned a lot from them. I think being able to spend time with them in a professional setting, that was probably one of the most informative and educational periods of my professional life, I think.
Awesome.
And it was a big deal. It was a big deal for me to be able to hang out with Carol O'Connor. And it was like, wow, bro, you're Carol O'Connor, you're a friggin' legend, and you're just sitting right there, it's all okay. Yeah, he was cool. He was very cool.
Awesome. Well, Robyn, I've got another one for you. And I didn't get to let you know this one ahead of time because I just found out earlier, as in a little while ago. One of the kids that I teach loves Riverdale, and you were on a few episodes of Riverdale.
Oh, okay.
So and she's probably still tuning in here somewhere. What has it been like working on Riverdale, and what is some of the motivation or some of the inspiration you've had for your character?
Okay, well, it was such a weird thing because I had done a show. It was a Canadian show years before with Lachlan Monroe, and he plays Betty's dad. So here we are. We'd met when we were both doing teen shows at the time, because I had done 15. Then there was another teen show called Madison. So I kind of did the rounds of the teen shows. He was on a teen show called Northwood. So we all knew each other. And then here we are, boom. Next time I see him, we're playing parents of teens. So it's just like, woo! These years flash before your eyes. But it was great to kind of, reconnect with him. And then Skeet Ulrich, who plays Jughead's dad, him and I, he was a really good friend of one of my castmates on a different movie I did, and he was my boyfriend for a time in New York, and they were really good friends. So Skeet spent a lot of my time in New York. So he's like, "You look so familiar," and I'm like, "You used to stay over at my place in New York," and we connected. But it was kind of interesting watching how different the kids are today in acting and who they are as humans and everything. I mean, granted, again, now we're talking about people playing teenagers who were in their 20s, but it was really cool to observe from the other side. I loved it. I have to give a shout out to Cody Kersley, who played Moose, who was the boyfriend of Midge, and Midge was my daughter in the show. And he was great. He was one of the only kids. KJ's also sweetheart. I will say the top things about KJ and who plays Archie and Cody. But anyways, Cody came up to me and he's like, "Hi, I'm playing your deceased daughter's boyfriend in the show. Nice to meet you." And so him and I had some great actor talk about, did I like him? Was he close in my family? Did I have him for dinners? Did he like me? Was I a fair mom? And so we really got deep because he's a theater guy too. So I loved how deep we went into some backstory. I had to make backstory. I never actually got to work with my daughter. I was introduced to the show when she was murdered. Spoiler alert. We're way past second season now. So
yeah, a little bit. I think we'll be okay.
Yeah, we'll be okay. But so he's great. And he actually, I spent 3.5 years writing a play with another actress friend of mine I've known since we were 18. and he just read our lead part in our play reading. So it comes back full circle. It's such a supportive community that I just love it. Working on Riverdale.
Robyn, I want to read your play.
What?
I want to read your play. You're so awesome. You wrote a play. I want to read your play.
Okay, you can come to the next play read.
Really? I'll crash your play read. I'm totally not kidding.
Okay, all right. It's a deal. Yeah.
I am going to have to get off screen for a second, so I got to go get my notes because my notes fell on the other side of the table. But I did have another question regarding 15.
Okay.
Can you sing the song that went along with 15?
I know who asked this. I know who asked this. Yeah, no, I told you. No. It's been great. Some people who were big fans of 15 have reached out. I love that social media can connect people like this because it's a great way to get to know the people who were supporting your show and have some nice kind of personal connection. I did something. He had his friend's birthday. It was a special birthday coming up, so he asked me to send a message from Brooke, which I hadn't taken on Brooke in years. I still think it was more Robyn than Brooke. It was a very understated Brooke, if anything. But he asked if I would sing the song. And I said, first of all, I said, what song? I didn't even remember there was a song. And then I was just like, oh, that song. I didn't sing it. Arsaman sang it. But it's like something, you're too young to cry and you're too young to fly and you're too old to cry. Or something like that. I don't know. It was super lame. No.
Wicked.
I can't. Oh, that's a good question. That's a good question. See, I knew it was you, Lewis. I knew it was you.
Watching this back on IGTV and things later, none of the comments will show up. So because Robyn was just saying, is that a good question? The question that was just brought up is, do either of our guests think that Welcome Freshmen or 15 could be rebooted? I give it to you.
Oh, wow. I think that's a great question. I think structurally, yeah, I think you can always reboot shows like Welcome Freshmen or 15 because I think structurally the format allows for that. You can always refresh and readapt. I think it's weird. Like I don't know. Yeah, it's kind of weird. Like I think some things you sort of lose, kind of the original life a little bit. You know what I mean? Like, so I would love to see what they would do with new versions of Welcome Freshmen and 15. Although I have to imagine that a new 15 would probably be significantly edgier than the last one. You know what I mean? Like, I can imagine like the difference between our 15 and the 15 that they would have now would probably be fairly wide.
But I have to. I mean, the alcohol might be drugs, like something harder. But
yeah,
I have to say though, the themes were very advanced at that time. Nobody really kind of tackled those huge themes, and only from a kid's perspective because there was no adults on the show. So it was basically the kids not really knowing maybe all the real information, but figuring it out on their own and seeing how they saw it from their perspective, which I think is a really cool concept. Although I do have some news broken here first. That there is talks about a reboot, and it would not be doing 15 again as 15 with the teenagers. They were talking about maybe where our lives are now, 30 years later. So, that we're meeting the creator in July. So that's as soon as the border opens and he can get across. His daughter.
Is he a dirty American like us that's unwanted in Canada?
But his daughter Molly is a writer in LA. She used to live in New York, and she's a writer. And she's like, I have to give a shout out to Paul, who was doing this blog that was called Notes from the Avalon. And it was a blog all about 15. And then he got other fans who liked the show to kind of read this blog. And then what he ended up doing is did a 15 reimagined. So he created all these new episodes of where we are today. So I thought it was so cool and so creative that I wanted to give a shout out and props to him. So I sent it to John Binkley, who is the creator. And then all of a sudden the creator was just like, whoa, you know, this could actually be something. So then we were kind of talking over COVID, and we're going to be discussing it. I think it's going to be a collaborative effort. But the first question I asked, is it a 3-camera setup? Because if it's going to do like be the campy soapy thing again, where I have to do really bad acting, I'm out. But they said no, it would be like maybe like a 22-minute Modern Family type thing where it's like realistic. And I was like, okay, that's okay. So,
wicked.
you guys are the first.
That's amazing. That is amazing, Robyn. That is freaking amazing. I'm so happy to hear that. That's awesome.
Well, you know what they say in business,
awesome.
Never trust anything until it's on. You could even be in it and then be cut out, right? How many times?
That's true. That's true.
Like
that's absolutely true. Facts.
All right, I only have a couple of questions left, and then we'll call it because I have no idea how long this is going, but you guys are both awesome. I appreciate you both very much. I
appreciate you pulling this together, man. This is such like a cool moment for me, like just to be able to interact with people that are still interested and like take questions and stuff like that. And then I just really appreciate you bringing me on board, man. Thank you. And of course, like to see Robyn again is like, my God, it's incredible. It's incredible. So thank you.
It's
for
like
that.
a reunion happening right now, live in front of everybody. Yeah.
I know.
Well, hopefully we can do more like this.
Yeah.
So we'll use this as our last question. If you could go back and give yourself a piece of advice, what would it be?
I'm gonna let Robyn.
Damn it! I was gonna say you go first. Okay.
Were you really? I mean, because I'm pretty sure you're gonna have a better answer.
All right. Well, maybe it's gonna be advice that I tell my students that I should have always taken myself, which is no one can be you better than you can be you. And you're what makes whatever you're doing interesting, because we're all just different in our own unique and different way. So, when you grow up as a child actor, you're always trying to fit into everybody's mold, and it can get you crazy after a while. I lived in Los Angeles for 3 years. I had to leave because I knew if I didn't leave, it would destroy my brain. So now more than ever, I am okay with who I am and where I'm at. Doesn't mean that, the industry's any easier. It doesn't mean that you still can't have really bad down days, but it doesn't come down to who I am anymore. It just is one of those things, and it's separate from me. So I think that would be the advice I'd give myself. Just be you, and don't worry about what everybody else's thing is, or their judgments or their thoughts, because that's being colored by their life experience, not yours. Wow.
Beautiful.
Okay.
That's great advice. Actually, I wouldn't mind you being able to go back and tell me that. That would be great.
You see, Sophia just sent me 3 hearts. Sophia sent me 3 hearts. Sophia is one of the young actresses that I coach right now who's going to have so much success. I always call her the next Emma Stone. So if you guys ever...
Hi, Sophia.
Sophia Powers, because she literally is one of the most talented young actresses I've ever worked with, and she is going to do big things, and she has an equally huge heart. So I just want to give a shout out to her. She's amazing.
Oh, that's awesome. Hi, Sophia. You kick ass, and you've got a great teacher. So enjoy it. Take advantage.
There you go. There you go. And so take the advice I just said that I would have given myself. Make sure you listen. Okay.
And as somebody not in this awesome group, look forward to seeing some awesome stuff from you. As for you, Chris, what advice do you have that could possibly top what Robyn just threw out?
Thank you.
Oh,
Are we not going to Chris answer the question?
Yeah. No, I'm totally going to answer it, and it's absolutely not going to top what Robyn just said. If we're going to set the bar low, and that way, nobody's disappointed. It's funny, man. I started working as an actor when I was about 8 years old. So like Robyn says, man, there's a lot when you start as a child. There's a lot, like in addition to being like just fitting from one mold into another. There's a lot that you lose out of your childhood when you become a working professional. Not like in the more I don't mean necessarily in the more melodramatic ways, but I mean you lose a lot of your childhood working, like being in a professional setting and so on and so forth. Um, but I was always able to sort of maintain a kind of detachment from the business and sort of remain probably a little bit more childlike than I needed to. So at this point, looking back, if I was to look back at look back at me from Welcome Freshman, I would probably tell him to quit screwing around as much and maybe pay a little bit more attention to the resources that are around you at the time. Just to be able to be a little bit more, I guess, mindful of what I could have learned from people who were around at the time. Which isn't to say that I didn't. I did learn a lot from, like my fellow cast members taught me a lot. Like my producers and directors also taught me a lot. I learned from people, but I think maybe one of the easiest things to look back on in youth is to say that, if I'd have been able to pay attention then the way I pay attention now, so I guess maybe that would be it. I would say, you can have fun, but just, take it a little bit more seriously. Because
Sure.
I didn't really, I didn't really, so what are you going to do?
All right. Well, again, thank you both so much for being a part of this. It means the world to me. You both are wonderful and amazing people, and thank you so much for answering all the questions and the wonderful gems of advice that you've given out. It can't be understated again that how much I appreciate you both. So thank you.
Oh man,
Alex,
I
so much
appreciate
for
you
reaching
pulling this
out.
together, man. Thank you so much. Yeah, this is amazing. And anytime you ever want to do it again, hit me up. I will be around.
Will do. Will do.
It's been an absolute pleasure. Absolute pleasure. Thank you. And thank you,
It was
everybody,
really good
for all
to
the
see you
questions.
again, number one.
They were great. Yes, you too. We're going to have to do this IRL.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. Yeah, we are. We're gonna have to do
When
this
the
IRL.
borders open.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know. Well, I can probably work something out. I can get across the border. It's pretty, it's woods, but I'll be all right. I can figure it
You're
out.
a rebel. We learned that
I'm a rebel.
today. We learned what a rebel
I'm
is.
absolute rebel.
And thank you to all of you
Alex,
who
anytime.
tuned
I'd be
in.
happy to do anything.
Will do.
Especially if there's ever a charity, if there's a charity through the church thing that you work for, that's my jam. Like I'm so happy to help out with anything that I could do to raise money or advocate for anything. So just let me know. I would be happy to join forces with anything like that.
Yeah, man, absolutely. Absolutely.
I appreciate
10
it.
goes. 10 goes. Yeah.
You guys are
man.
awesome. Thank you to
guys
everybody.
thanks for all the love, everybody.
Where can everybody follow you at?
Oh, go ahead.
Robyn, where can our followers follow you at?
I'm at Why Am I a Peanut? But the letter Y, the letter M, the letter I.
And Peanut.
Oh.
Wait, I'm at a...
Yeah.
You glitched out a little bit, but that's okay. We got you.
Oh, I always wondered this, Robyn. Why are you a peanut? What happened with that? Like, how did that... I've been wanting to know that for years. Like,
Why am I a peanut?
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Well, there's a reason. When the internet started, I didn't think it would actually be a thing that would stick around that long. So I knew I had to take out an email. I had to take out an email address, except all the email addresses were gone. I tried probably 30 or 40. So my boyfriend at the time had come out and he's like, Peanut, I've been calling your name. Why aren't you listening? And I was like, why am I a peanut? And then I was like, why am I a peanut? And literally everyone would be like, why am I a peanut? They didn't know it was
that's what I do.
Why am I a peanut? So anyways, it just stuck. And then everybody knew me as Peanut or why am I a peanut? So I took out the account on Instagram, not really knowing what Instagram was for at the time. And I could change it to Robyn Ross, but now y'all know. And so for those of you who know, we're like this, because some inside. That's why I'm
and Chris,
I'm a peanut.
Where can followers follow you at?
Oh, I am at Christopher Lobban. It's just my name on Instagram. That's about as invasive as I got. I guess I had to save my creative juices for when I actually write stuff, so I couldn't really come up with anything cooler for my name.
Save it for when you need.
If you jump on it and you don't see a picture of me, you may see a picture of Felix. That's true. You can find Robyn through me, and if you don't see my profile picture, that's cool. It is actually a picture of Felix the cat eating Mickey Mouse. So if you see that, it's mine. You got the right one.
All right. Well, everybody give them a follow. And again, thank you guys. And thanks to all of you who tuned in. And we'll see you guys again sometime, I'm sure.
Alex, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Bye, everybody. Thank you for coming in. I love you, number one. I'll see you soon, okay?
Love you back.
Bye, guys.
And I'm so
Bye.
glad my phone didn't die. Woo.
I know. Bye.
Talk to you soon. Okay, bye.
Bye.